and the crowd goes wild. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Geeks and Company. That's right, you're not imagining things. We are back. My buddy Jeff over here. We are talking about Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 8, Surrender.
Whew. Man, strap in, kids, because
freaking
lot
episode
happens in this episode. Like, a lot happens in this episode.
Right off the bat, guys, if you have not watched this week's Star Trek Picard, go watch that.
Yeah, that's a must, kids, because so much happens. This is like, you remember when Game of Thrones was on, and episode 9 would be like when all this shit happens, like when all the plot threads kind of come home to roost, and then episode 10 would just kind of be like the aftermath of it. That's what this episode felt like. Like, a lot of shit happened in this episode that you're just like, oh, I guess that's that. Okay, that's so really. There's really only one I guess there's 2 mysteries left. Who's really pulling all the strings, and then the fuck is going on with Jack? Everything else, we kind of got a resolution to here.
So, so spoiler warning is out of the way, guys. We're going to talk spoilers. Before we do talk spoilers, guys, if you like to watch these shows, if you like to hear us rant about Star Trek, click the subscribe button. It's completely free. I can't say it enough. It costs you absolutely nothing. And if you click the notification bell, it will make sure you never miss any time we upload one of these videos. Oh, the like button also helps, for sure. Helps the algorithm a lot because it helps propagate the videos through the YouTube-verse. But this is by far our most popular series of videos, the after show, specifically for Star Trek Picard. So thank you, everybody, for watching. I know we're coming to the end. Well, make sure to keep watching or subscribe, because what's next after Picard?
Strange New Worlds.
And we are going to be doing a Strange New Worlds version of the after show. I can guarantee you that.
Hell yeah.
Star Trek Picard. So Picard episode 8, Surrender, literally picks up where episode 7 left off.
Does.
Vadic is in the captain's chair, basically, of the Titan.
Yep.
She's got the command crew, or the bridge crew, I should say, not the command crew, but the bridge crew captive.
Yep.
And she's basically telling Jack Crusher over the intercom, buddy, you got 10 minutes. And if you're not here in 10 minutes, I'm going to start shooting people.
Now
she does.
She does. Now she also cuts off all intership communications.
Yep.
She starts threatening things like life support.
Yeah. She cuts off all the lights, locks all the doors. Everybody's stuck where they are.
They can't hear. They're not sure what to do. Sidney LaForge is really trying to reestablish control. So is Beverly. So is Picard. They're desperate to regain control of the ship. And then they happen upon an idea that is a neat little takeaway for this particular episode. And finally, sort of a bridge to where we needed to be with a certain character. In this case, Data. Although I think we are going to have to figure out a new name for him, because he's not really Data now. He's more like Data lore. Like he's a combination.
Yeah, he's
of the
Data before lore. Like he's kind of everything now, and that's what he says at the end, right? He says,
he's
I'm
I'm changed.
Yeah, I'm the old me is dead. Forget the quote.
Well,
now.
Picard does say, because of course in the first season, Data was like, just turn me off, man. Like I don't want to like his consciousness. He's like, I don't want to just stick around forever. Please shut me down. And they do, and he dies. And Data says in this episode, after he's gone through this traumatic change, that part of me needed to die, but this new version of me, I can't think of anywhere I would rather be right now.
That's it.
Because what do we get? Jazz?
You get what you wanted. You finally got what you wanted. I didn't think it was going to happen.
Thank balls.
But you got what you wanted. We got the whole bridge crew of the Enterprise.
We did.
Of Star Trek Next Generation back together on one ship in one room.
Yes, around a table. So not so much on the bridge yet, but around a table, just like they always used to do in his ready room. Not his ready room. Whatever
in the
conference room, anytime they were discussing a mission, or anytime they were meeting with dignitaries, or anytime they all had to be in the same room for whatever reason. And by the way, that scene, and I know we're jumping around, guys, I'm sorry, that scene was shot so well, having nice slow tracking shots of each individual cast member, and then you would kind of see 2 of them together, like Worf and Geordi are sitting beside you. Like, that was chicken soup for my soul. If everything else goes to pot, I'm fine, because I got the shot I needed. They're all together in a room.
I feel like
alert. Someone comes to Riker and Troy's rescue after they have heart to heart about the issues that they're having with their marriage and their family life and else. Riker basically comes clean and is like, I was a shit. I did not deal with our son's death very well. You tried to like mind manipulate me into just getting over it, and I couldn't, and that was not cool. So they have a huge catharsis that, because so much of what they're talking about happened off camera, it did feel a little like we didn't really, I don't want to say earned it, but it was the catharsis wasn't as satisfying for me because everything that they're talking about, all of that all happened off camera. His son's birth, his son's death, their breakup, his leaving, like everything they're talking about has all been discussed, but none of it was shown.
You're right. 100% right. But for me, they used that as a exposition for Troy and Riker's relationship over the whole, right? Because even in Next Gen, and even in the original movies, all the way up until they get married, they have a very rocky relationship from beginning to end, right?
Absolutely.
This really was that, okay, this is who I am and this is who you are, and we fucked it up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, keep fucking it up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you need to do better. Okay. That's basically what that was all about for me, right?
And then when Worf rescues them and he sees Deanna,
and he starts professing his love to her, basically.
And then Riker's like, I'm right here.
He's like,
what are you doing?
A little inappropriate.
He's like, is this part of the rescue or is this the continuing torture? What's happening? What are we doing? I was like, Jonathan Frakes, man, this show needed you so bad.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was
fantastic.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I'm not, because I love the character so much, and because I've been with them since 1987. It still happened for me. I just wish we could have seen more of what they're talking about that led up to that particular moment for the two of them.
Especially because that flashback was so good.
Yeah,
the flashback scene when he's telling the story of Thaddeus dying.
Yeah.
That flashback scene was so gut-wrenching, and
absolutely.
That I kind of wish, me too, that maybe they would have worked us up to Thaddeus dying without telling us, where we would have found out today.
Right.
Yes. This is all because Thaddeus in that scene dies.
Yes.
Right. And then you see the rest of the cutscene. That, for me, I think maybe would have been a better way to do it, and would have been a little bit more developing of that side story.
Yes.
But
no. Again, I'm not going to minor quibble. The only other sort of minor quibble that I had was the sort of the Deus Ex Machina there on the bridge when Jack is on the bridge and with Seven, and he uses the portable shield generator, which is what the little thermal detonator he is, and then the front screen opens for an emergency hatch. I know I have not watched every single minute of every single piece of Trek. I'd like to say I've probably watched a good 90% of it. I don't remember this ever being a thing before. Am I wrong? Has this ever appeared on any?
No, I've never seen anything like that.
Like the front, like the view screen open.
Like, I understand that for them, as in the actors that are on the sound stage that are looking at the view screen, it's just a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
Right? So for them that are on the set and they're in the production, for them, maybe it makes sense that that would be a hatch, because for them, it's literally a hole in the wall.
Sure.
Right? But for me, that didn't work. It would have made much more sense if the emergency hatch was the dome on the top of the fucking bridge.
That's what I was waiting for. Like, when it closed at front, I'm like, what the fuck? It's a garage door. What is that?
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Yeah.
My only issue, and again, minor issue, because I keep saying every week, I think this was the best episode of Star Trek I've ever seen. and this week runs true again. I think this might have been one of the best episodes of Star Trek I've ever watched. But when Vadic makes the whole point of telling everybody, and multiple times, how she's blinding everybody. She's taking away their sight. She's taking away their ears. She's taking away their paths by locking all the doors. But Picard somehow could just get from the medical bay to engineering where Data and Geordi are. No problem. The door's all open for him.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think of that.
And same thing for Jack. Jack can make his way to the bridge. No problem.
Yeah,
door's open for him.
Yeah.
But everybody else is locked down. Like, wait, what? When I saw them coming into where Geordi's trying to repair Data, I was like, how the fuck did you guys get there? Like, your ship's on lockdown.
Now, again, I've loved the use of humor in this show so far. When Geordi says 6 years
that's
ago,
definitely Picard.
You sent a present to me for my name day. What was it? I sent you a bottle of Chateau Picard Bordeaux, which you thought was too dry because you have a pedantic taste in wines or something like that. And he's like, that's really Picard.
Yeah, that's Picard for
sure. Brilliant. So good.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, man, Vadic's last words. What were Vadic's last words?
Remember okay, hang on. So,
sorry, go ahead.
You just spoiled it. Vadic
dies.
The
whole thing is spoiled. What are we doing?
Vadic dies.
Yes.
They destroy the Shrike.
Yes.
They
get control back of the Titan. Blah,
they
blah,
got
blah.
control back of the Titan. Yep. That part of the storyline is done.
Correct.
Now, my only real problem with this is we still don't know what or who Jack is. Vadic clearly knew, but we've now killed her and her whole crew. They're all dead.
Yep. And to be fair, at the end of this episode, they actually say that. They're like, we're still no closer to...
Yeah.
Like, when they're in that conference room and they're talking, they're like, we're no closer to answers than we were before. Yeah. We just basically have this monkey off our back, right?
Yeah. And what were Vadic's last words as she's being blasted out through the view screen?
Fucking solids. Hats off. Amanda Plummer, you killed it.
Fantastic in this.
You killed it. Absolutely murdered it.
I don't know that I've ever seen her in anything else, but
well, I mean, her the big claim to fame, even though it was a very small role, was Pulp Fiction. She's Honey Bunny in Pulp Fiction at the
no way.
Yeah, when they're robbing the restaurant, that's her and Tim Roth.
I didn't realize that was her, but fantastic in this.
I mean, crazy and crazy good. Yeah, for sure, absolutely, 100%. Little weird destroying the Shrike. I thought that was a little bit bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
Picard's remains are on there. So now they're gone. I mean, they figure out that they've removed sections of his prefrontal lobe, so sections of the body's brain, the sections that were specific to the Irumodic syndrome, apparently, which has now been called into question if he even had. So I'm still don't have any fucking clue. So they didn't even need his body per se. They just needed a couple of chunks of his brain.
Yeah.
So then they destroy this advanced warship. They're already one ship against all of Starfleet. Why not just put a skeleton crew on the Shrike and now you're two ships against all of, you know what I mean? Like it seemed like a weird choice to blow it up.
I mean, problem is they're already a skeleton crew, right?
I mean,
there's only like a handful of them left after everything, right? Because let's be honest, when she comes on board the Titan, she's just massacring people.
That's true. And it was
at the beginning of this episode, whoever's left is on the ship. Is either the Enterprise crew is left, and some of the bridge crew are left. Yeah. Everybody else is gone.
Yes,
they've been massacred, right?
Yes, that's
you can hear them screaming as they're just gunning them down in the hallways.
Oh, and like who was I talking to? I was talking to somebody the other day about how this is already like pre-set up for a continuing series if they decided to do a Star Trek Titan or a Star Trek Legacy, whatever they want to say. And I was naming off the bridge officers, the cool Bajoran guy. I mentioned the bald female Vulcan officer. Spoiler alert, not on the show no more.
She's gone. Yeah, she
got vaporized. Yeah, they are not shy, by the way, about
pretty quick. Yeah,
people get vaporized on when the phasers are on kill, man. Like they're just not there anymore.
And it's
they don't get a whole shot in them like they've shown otherwise. Like
they did a lot of vaporizing in the original series, but I feel like in Next Gen it was a lot of phasers on stun, right?
Yeah, they're not.
This is not.
No, there are no.
You're getting people gunned down left and right, especially in this episode. It's nuts.
Goodness gracious me, and that poor what's his name, Shaw, like. For the third time this season, someone had to give him his bridge back because, well, the first time he gave it away himself, but This time he had it taken from him. Like, is this guy the captain of this ship, or is he just the guy that's watching all this shit happen in front of him? You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's. I mean, you're right. I think part of the thing about his character is it is his ship, but he's not in control of shit.
Boy, howdy, is he ever not?
Right? Like, it's just getting his ass kicked over getting his ass kicked constantly in this show, right?
Yep.
That's like nonstop. Yeah. And it's too bad because I'm loving the character. More and more, I'm loving the character. And I told you this in the beginning of the season where you were talking about the douchey captain.
Yes.
And I was like, be careful because they're going to twist us into loving him by the end of the season. And look, now we love him, right?
Well, love's a strong word, but I certainly don't think he's a douchebag anymore. I think he ended up being a little too ineffectual, a little too comic reliefy, maybe. Which I get. Like he was clearly there to kind of lighten the mood and stand out as a character. But I would like to see in these final 2 episodes a little more grit out of him, a little more of this. I am the captain. This is my ship. I'd like to see just a tad more of that than we've gotten. But overall, yes, the character is a fantastic character, and I would love to see more of him after the show for sure. Yeah. Here's the big question: is what the fuck do we do now? There's 2 whole episodes left.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Vadic's dead. Her ship is gone.
Yes.
Her crew is gone.
Yes.
We still don't know who the big bad is, and we still don't know what's going on with Jack.
So they do. So when Troy is talking to Jack, she does say that whatever voice is talking to him is ancient and weak. So I found that fairly interesting, and I don't know what out of everything that would denote, because everything that he's doing with the taking control of people and everything else and the bright, like that doesn't really equate to anything that we've seen before that I can think of off the top of my head, like remote piloting bodies and shit. Like, and he's not even doing it in line of sight. Like he's in engineering and he's remoting a guy on the bridge that he's probably met like once in the whole time he's been on the bridge. He's never had a conversation with, and yet he could just like boop, like just remote into this dude and pilot him like a fucking mech or whatever. Like that's there
was
my Borg theory. I don't think that's it.
Yeah, there was an episode in the original series, and I forget what it was called, but there was and I forget if it was what kind of an entity it was, but it could not only control people and what they do, but they could also make them see things, and they could, like, it was like almost like a godlike Q-ish type of character, but only in that specific spot.
Trelane, I think, is who you're talking about.
Yes.
But yes, the theory is that Trelane is like a banished Q, and that's why his powers are only good on that planet, basically, or in that particular area. But yeah, maybe
what if somehow it's something like that, right? I have a feeling whatever is happening to Jack, not only are they going to try to make it cool, but it's going to be a reference to something from other Trek.
Right, but
I'm almost 100% sure there's going to be an Easter egg there in the who he is.
But that has to tie into whoever the big bad is too, because the big bad is wanted him in the first place. So it all has to come together somehow in these final 2 episodes. And
yeah,
it did feel like the world. Did it not feel like the world's biggest like tease? Like she's literally, Vatic is about to tell him who he is and what it all means,
and then get blasted out the door,
and then she's dead. And then Troy is basically like, no, we're gonna do this. We're gonna open this red door, and he reaches out for. Actually, she reaches out for it. The knob, and then I'm like, you, just fucking tell. Because now my biggest fear is that it's been built up so much that whatever it is going to ultimately be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, what could it be at this point where we'd be like, that all makes sense. That now. I shouldn't cast doubt, because so far everything else they've done this season they've murdered. So hopefully it's something that's worthy of all of this buildup that they've had.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm also a little bit like you in the sense that I'm a little worried about these massive buildups need to pay off, right?
Yeah.
If they've built this whole season on these 2 facts or on these 2 mysteries, right? The big bad,
yes,
and Jack,
yes,
and it falls on its face at the end.
That's all that will be remembered. Unfortunately.
Exactly, right? Isn't that aren't people then going to say Picard season 3 was shit?
Yes, they absolutely will. The juice was not worth the squeeze, so to speak. They will forget the fact that we have had 8 amazing episodes of this show, some of the best Trek that's ever been put on TV or film, for that matter. If they don't stick the landing, so they got 2 episodes to do it. I'm hopeful, but I'm worried. Yes.
Yeah, me too. But we've got Worf and Raffi back this week. We've got Data back this week, although it's the new Data.
The new Data, which I thought was kind of cool. Like, it was pretty obvious what he was doing by handing over all his memories, but getting to see the memories was cool. The Sherlock Holmes stuff, the deck of cards, Spot was a great reference. I'm sure everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, kitty!" Like that was kind of neat. I mean, they could have had him picking memories out all day. Like, they could have had a whole episode of him just picking memories out and just have.
But the memories that they picked were iconic.
Oh, 100%
memories, right? Like Spot is iconic.
No, absolutely.
Tasha, I mean.
Oh yeah, that Tasha thing.
You know,
well done bringing that back.
Yeah,
in lieu of pipe. Yeah. The deck of cards. Yeah, all the times I played poker with my friend. Yeah.
I mean, those are kind of iconic things that really define for us,
right,
who Data is.
Yes. But now he gets to experience it on a whole other level. Like, he's finally sort of gotten his wish. Like, he's in essentially an organic
body now,
positronic organic body, and he's able to experience emotions and finally able to use contractions, which was, by the way, the single dumbest thing about
first thing he says when they leave, right? And they're going to the ship now. Everything's been resolved, and Geordi asks him something, and Data, instead of saying "I do not know," he says "I don't know." And Geordi's like, "Hey, wait, what?
You just used a contraction." And he goes,
"Contraction." He goes, "No, I didn't.
No, I didn't." Geordi's like, and Data's like,
He's like, "I can use contractions now."
And I'm funny. Whoop.
Which was kind of always a silly thing to me, that he couldn't use contractions.
98 trillion operations per second. He can't write a little subroutine to be able to use contractions. I understand why thematically it was done to set him apart, to show that he is a machine type of thing, but it was still so silly that it was never addressed. So they finally address it, and that's fantastic. It feels like Brett Spider's finally like, I get to play myself for once. Like, I finally get to be me for another 2 episodes, because it has to be, for these last 2 episodes, it's got to be the Magnificent Seven solving this mystery. Like, it's got to be the 7 of them just doing shit.
Well, I mean, it has to be, right? Like, why would they bring them all back now?
That's what I'm saying.
For them to not be front and center for the last 2 episodes.
No, this whole season is an apology for the first 2 seasons, and the apology came to roost with this episode today, when you got all 7 of them back together again. What should have been essentially the ending of season 1, and then 2 more seasons of the 7 of them together. We had to wait until the end of season 3 to get it, and unfortunately, once we get it, we're not getting any more of it. But still,
I will say, I'll even go one step further and say that this should have been Star Trek 10, not Nemesis.
No, of course. I've
said
that too.
Should have been. Nemesis.
This is essentially the last next gen movie, is what this has been. 100%.
But if this would have been season 1, and then we had the Q storyline of season 2, with pulling characters from this season, bringing in Shaw and 7, and
without all the time travel bullshit nonsense.
Now that would have been that would have been so good.
If this had been season 1 and we were getting 2 more seasons of this would have made way more sense and been way better. I mean, hindsight's 2020. Whatever. What are we going to do?
But that's not what Patrick Stewart wanted. Well, Patrick Stewart, when they went into this, Patrick Stewart flat out said, "I don't want this to be another next gen show." Right? This is a show about Picard. Now, I get it. He didn't just want to rehash the same thing. You know, as an actor, as an artist, you don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. You wanted to do something different. Problem is, it's not what fucking people wanted.
Nope, sure wasn't. This is what we wanted. Yep.
And we're finally getting
it. That means that you feel like you're just treading on ground that's already been tread upon, or whatever. You're not getting to explore strange new. You're not getting to do what you wanted to do. But at the end of the day, fans make the show.
Yeah.
Right. I know you can't really do the show for the fans, but fans make the show. You're nothing without us. give us what we want. We finally have it, and we love it. And I cannot wait. Even though we're a little scared, I'm hopeful that they'll stick the landing and everything will be fine.
Yeah, and I think that it would be a big mistake for Paramount to not try to somehow keep this going. Whether it's through a spinoff, like what everybody are talking about, a Star Trek Titan or Legacy or whatever they want to call it.
Yeah.
Or something different. But I think that there's a want for 24th century Trek.
100%. Yeah, of course, absolutely there is.
And you know, we could. This is proving that it can still be done, and it can still be interesting, and it can still be fun. It can be done.
100%. And I think there's room for it when you consider it.
100%.
Lower Decks is obviously just a funny animated thing. Strange New Worlds is episodic.
Mm-hmm.
Discovery is leaving.
Mm-hmm.
This would be a good, to me anyway. And it sounds like Starfleet Academy is going to be a very like Earth, but like they're in the academy, so it's like a school based. Like
Starfleet Academy is going to be more of a CW team,
right? It's going to be
show.
Yeah. But you like the format of the show is them not going to be on a spaceship warping around the galaxy. No. They're going to be like in school, basically, right? Yeah. And all the interpersonal relationships that we got there. So it would still give us an opportunity as Discovery's leaving, which right now is the show that has a crew on a ship exploring in a serialized format. You could replace that with this. Only we're in this timeline where people are invested in these characters because we've known them for the last 30 years, 40 years, 35 years, whatever it's been since 87, right? So 36 years. Mm-hmm. I think there's a thing. And apparently the guy that plays Shaw was like, I'm absolutely keen to come back. He did.
He made a post on his Instagram about it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm touched that everybody thinks that this is a great idea, and I'm totally in for it. I'm like,
of course.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Like, me too.
Yeah. I get to be a continued working paid actor on a Star Trek show that everyone loves. Hi.
Yeah.
And I get to have Jerry Ryan as my co-star. Yeah. Excuse me. Where's the I'll sign that right now. Yeah. No problem. Let me sign
and then you do limited series. Right? Then you do a Star Trek Worf miniseries. Right. A 6-episode story about Worf.
Right.
And then you do a Chakotay or whatever. I'm just throwing names out there, right?
No. You have the rich, gooey history of all of that Trek, and that's just since '87. You then still have
all of the original series,
all the movies and shit too. Yeah. You've got since 1966, and it's 2023. You have all the reference material you could ever possibly want or need. Yeah. I don't necessarily want to get into a Star Wars situation where we're filling in every little time gap in between things, like Star Wars seems want to do, but it is cool, like you said, juice for the 24th century Trek. Seems at this point finally worth the squeeze, and I would absolutely am on board to see more of it for sure.
100%. I'm loving what they're doing now, and hopefully they keep going. I keep saying it every week. I think we're going to leave it off there. Absolutely. We're going to cross our fingers that the next 2 episodes are just as good. But I think that's going to be it for this week, guys. Make sure you check us out next week. Well, actually, tonight is the podcast. Well, not tonight. For us, it's tonight. But every week, Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern time, we record our podcast live right here on I was going to say on Instagram, right here on YouTube.
Yeah.
We also have another version of this after show. We've got the Mandalorian version of this after show.
We do.
So go check it out. It's not nearly getting as much traction as the Picard after show is. But, it's also a great show. The Mando is amazing. So go check that out. Yeah, that's going to be it for now.
Yeah.
Make sure you stay geeky, everybody. We'll see you next week.